Yahshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Yahshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Yahshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Yahshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me.
Good morning, class.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Catherine Smith. I'll be your moderator for this class session. Welcome to the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. This is a school and not a church, and neither are we affiliated with any religious organization. This school is a non-profit, non-denominational, religious, and scientific research organization dedicated to showing proof of the existence of Yahweh, our Elohim, and the operation of His eternal purpose, pattern, and plan operating throughout eternity to this present day. This school was established as a result of a divine vision and revelation given to our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, in the state of Ohio in the year 1931. We were incorporated in the state of California in the year 1958. Since that time, we have established branch schools throughout the United States, Canada, and certain other foreign countries. The Memphis branch was established in 1973. In this school, we use the true, correct, and original name and title of the Father, the Word our Son, and the Holy Spirit as contained in the original Hebrew text. The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. This has been improperly substituted with Lord. The true title of the Word our Son is Elohim. This has been improperly substituted with God. The name of the Holy Spirit manifested in or out of a physical body is Yahshua. This has been erroneously substituted with Jesus Christ. Lord and God are titles and not names. The Apostle Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, tells us in 1 Corinthians 8:5 that there are Lords many and gods many. But we now know that each Lord must have a name, and each God must have a name also. Elohim is a title, but unlike Lord and God, Elohim is a divine title. That means that Elohim is the title that our Creator chose for Himself. Jesus is a name, but it is an erroneous name. A minor investigation on your part in a good dictionary or encyclopedia would prove that neither the Hebrew language, the Greek language, nor the Latin language have any characters or letters in their alphabet that would produce the sound that's made by this letter J. Neither was there a letter J in the English language until some 1600 years after the Messiah's death. Therefore, such names as Jesus and Jehovah are impossible renderings of the true and original name of our Father and His Son. Christ is a title just like Lord and God. Yahweh is pure spirit, and in this state He is incomprehensible, inscrutable, and indiscernible. He is the ultimate source, substance, limits, and bounds of everything. We have Yahweh in His pure spirit state symbolized on this chart as a cloud. Yahweh is not a cloud. He merely chose a cloud to symbolize Himself because a cloud has no particular or descriptive shape or form. We've drawn this cloud all around the edges of this chart to show you that everything on this chart is within the cloud. In like manner, everything in the universe abides within the pure spirit state of Yahweh. Yahweh, knowing that man could not perceive of Him in this pure spirit state, took on shape and took on form right within Himself as Yahweh Elohim. This is the Word or Son, a superincorporeal being that is, having the shape and form of a man, but without flesh and blood. This form can only be seen in divine vision and understood in divine revelation. Later on, this self-same Spirit manifests himself in a physical body and walked the earth plane as Yahshua the Messiah, whom the world calls Jesus Christ. Now, there's only one name given unto salvation, and we must know that name. So the simple yet intelligent question we should ask ourselves is, what was the name of the Savior during the time he walked the earth plane? A further understanding of this name and title may be had by reading the preface of the Holy Name Bible. Also in this school, we teach by divine pattern of the universe. It is called divine pattern because it is Yahweh's pattern. After Yahweh led the children of Israel up out of the land of Egypt, he called Moses atop Mount Sinai and showed him the tabernacle pattern in a vision. Yahweh instructed Moses to build one exactly like it in the wilderness of Sinai. This pattern consisted of a most holy place, and court round about. These three compartments making up the one tabernacle pattern. We show proof in this school how that everything in the universe is made and operates according to the structure and the function of this threefold tabernacle pattern, and that absolutely nothing escapes the pattern. We have 10 primary aims or constitutional objectives of the Institute, and they are as follows. First is to help you find and know Yahweh, our Elohim, as he really is and actually exists. Second, to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity in Yahshua the Messiah without distinction of race, nationality, creed, sect, caste, or color. Third, to investigate the unexplained spirit law or so-called law of nature and the powers latent in man. Fourth, to encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religion, psychology, philosophy, both modern, practical, and occult science. Fifth, to extirpate current superstition, skepticism, and ignorance. Sixth, to learn, know, and understand the operation of Yahweh's eternal purpose through the dispensations and ages. Seventh, to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, the serpent, the devil, the dragon, or Satan and his demons, operating the mystery of iniquity on earth through the dispensations of time. Eighth is to earnestly contend for the common salvation and faith, which was once delivered unto the sons or children of Yahweh. Ninth, to make known that Yahweh from the beginning ordained there is none other name given among men whereby man can be saved, saving the name of Yahshua the Messiah. 10th, to inherit eternal life now in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah with the hope of immortal glorification in the new earth state. Our watchword is peace. Slogan, speak the truth. We have prayer by Dr. Olivia Dobbins. Our scripture lesson is Exodus the 15th chapter, read by Dr. Kathleen Banks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Bow our hearts and minds for a moment of prayer unto Yahweh. Yahweh, how excellent is your name. You have provided a place here, a place there, where a few of your servants can gather together and still hold your truth in righteousness the same way that you gave it to us as in the beginning. Father, keep us. We just saw a terrible situation in the natural. We know that the natural portrays the spiritual. If you did not have a hedge around us, Yahweh, the devil would take us out. Make us strong, Yahweh, able to withstand the wiles of the adversary, for he has these fiery darts. Each one has a dart. Each one has a dart with a name on it. But Yahweh, you are the shield, you are the buckler. You are the water to quench a soul that desires to know your truth. Yahweh, keep us, guide us in Yahshua the Messiah, which is our only hope of salvation and our only hope of glory. All these things we ask in the name of Yahshua. Let us all say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
I'll be reading Exodus 15th chapter, taken from the Holy Name Bible, containing the Holy Name version of the Old and New Testaments, critically compared with ancient authorities in various manuscripts, revised by the late A.B. Trainer, the Scripture Research Associated Incorporation. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto Yahweh, and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he is to become my Savior. He is my El, and I will praise him. My father's Elohim, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his hosts has he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sendest forth thy wrath, which consumeth them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as a heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, mine hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow with thy wind, the sea covereth them. They sank as lead as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Yah, among the mighty? Who is like thee? Glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders. Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm they shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Yahweh, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in, and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Yahweh, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Yahweh, which thy hands have established. Yahweh shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea, and Yahweh brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moses, saying, What shall we drink? And he said unto Yah, and he cried unto Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree, which he had cast into the waters. The waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them, and said, If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians. For I am Yahweh, Rafika, thy healer. And they came to Elim, which were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees. And they encamped there by the waters. Exodus 15.
Hallelujah.
To begin this lecture, our first speaker will be Dr. Kathleen Banks.
Good morning again, class.
Good morning.
I just want to first say this. It really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about, but it's this movie that's supposed to be coming out now. It's called Jesus Christ Superstar. So I think they had, back in the day, an old version of it. But this is going to be a new version. And since we don't have no J's, but the movie is really based on a J, because they talking about Jesus Christ Superstar. But it's really Yahshua the Messiah Superstar. So I wrote that in. But the name of this school, again, is the Institute, which Institute means school, of Divine. Can someone look up the word divine? See what divine means.
Divine from Merriam-Webster's online dictionary. Of, relating to, or proceeding directly from God, or a God. 2, divine inspiration, divine love, praying for divine intervention. B, being a deity, the divine savior. C, directed to a deity. 2, supremely good.
Okay. So this is a school that's supremely good or saintly.
Você precisa atualizar seu limpador Android agora ou seu celular poderá ficar mais lento e consumir a bateria mais rápido.
Okay, divine.
Divine.
Okay.
This is taken from the American Heritage Dictionary. First definition, this is the second definition, divine. 2, to foretell or reveal through the art of divination, to know by inspiration, intuition, or reflection.
Okay.
Then another one says, being or having the nature of a deity, of or relating to, emanating from, or being the expression of a deity.
Okay, so divine is like godly or saintly or, you know, so. And then the Institute of Divine, metaphysical, and metaphysical means that we go beyond what you see. And research, okay, because that's what we do, because we prove what we say. We try to prove what we see and say. Can I get Thessalonians, I think it's 5:20. We say prove all things.
2 Thessalonians 5:23.
Okay, second. Okay.
1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Abstain from all appearances of evil.
Okay, so in this school, this is what we do. We research, we prove to see, to show for proof, as to what we're saying when we're talking to you about this vision. Now, this school was founded by the late Henry C. Kinley in 1931. And they say the vision was stupendous. A lot of people may not know what that means. Can I get the word stupendous? And the word panoramic, please.
Stupendous, taken from American Heritage. Of astounding force, volume, degree, or excellent, amazing, marvelous, of tremendous size, huge, immense.
That's all this we see right here. And panoramic.
Você precisa atualizar seu limpador Android agora.
Panorama. An unlimited view of all visible objects over a wide area. A comprehensive picture of a chain of events or a specific subject. A picture or series of pictures representing a continuous scene, exhibited a part at a time by being unrolled and passed before the spectator.
That's what this is, right? It was divine too, and it was sent straight from the Creator Yahweh, who is pure spirit. And these are his 9 divine attributes that make him up, some of his divine attributes. And, Yahweh, we can't guess upon him. We can't speculate. We can't imagine him. Or any of that. Okay. When I say speculate, what am I talking about when I use the word speculate? I say he can't be imagined. He can't be imagined. He can't be guessed about. And it can't be speculated. So when I say speculated, I mean, what do I mean by when I say speculate?
Speculate. Speculate from the American Heritage. To meditate on a given subject or reflect, to engage in the buying or selling of a commodity with an element of risk on the chance of profit. Is speculate.
Speculate, a verb from Google. 1. Form a theory or conjecture about a subject without firm evidence.
So that's what it means because you can't do that with him. Now, back in the year 1931, when Dr. Kinley had the vision, my mother was born 3 years before he had the vision, because she was born in 1934. He had the vision in 1931, so he had it 3 years before she was born, right? Okay. But I remember her when she was telling me that back in 1931, how hard times were, especially for people of color or Negroes, as they called us to be back then. But when you back in 31, the odds were stacked against you. you were disrespected, misunderstood, and treated unfair. And most of them couldn't find good jobs. And, you know, many would think that hope would be lost, but in 31, Kinley sent us salvation by way of this vision. And Dr. Kinley only had a 6th grade education. So I think about he had a 6th grade education, so when you're in the 6th grade, you're about 12 years old. So when Yahshua was 12, he was teaching and preaching in the synagogue. So that made me think about that on that. But, you know, he only had a 6th grade education, but he was shown eternal life and how we could get it. So I want the aim that talks about comparative, when they talk about comparative religion. I don't remember which one.
Fourth aim. To encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religions, psychology, philosophy, and modern practical and occult science.
Okay. I was reading an article about space and astronomy, and it asked, what does space smell like? So, at first I was like, who cares what it smells like? You know, what does it have to do with salvation? And what could I be shown, if anything? So I just kept on reading, and it said that although space didn't have an odor, that the spacecraft and the astronauts, space suits were among the stinkiest environments that humans have ever created. That's what it was saying. And I said to myself, I guess it would be like when a skunk sprays on you, even though it's never done it to me. But people say that when they spray on you, even though you take a bath and a shower, it takes a while for the smell to leave you. You know. So they were saying that it's a particular and stinky smell that's recommended to the astronauts. It's a smell test. And they have to, you know, do a smell test, and if it makes you vomit, then it won't pass. But, you know, if you don't vomit, you know, from the smell, it's good. But if you vomit, then, you know, it didn't pass the smell test.
If you can tolerate.
Yeah, they say, but everything about the spacecraft is stinky enough to make you vomit. But I still don't understand why they want to keep going up there if this is what they have to deal with when they go up there. But they talked about exact specifications in order for the space smell to for the smell tester to use. And if it didn't vomit, it passed. But if it did vomit, it didn't pass. And they also mentioned about how you pass a consumer product smell test. And, you know, it had to be exact specifications. And if it failed, then the product wouldn't be manufactured with the consumer deal. You know, I don't know why they threw that in, but they did. But I want the scripture that talks about the incense having the exact specifications or the right ingredients. It's a scripture that says about those 4 ingredients, which were the right combination or the exact specification to make for it to be a sweet smelling savior unto Yahshua's nostrils, to Yahweh's nostrils, for this sweet smelling savior. This is was it in here where they mix those 4?
Let's see, 30.
Okay.
Exodus 30 is. 30 and 34. And Yahweh said unto Moses, take unto thee sweet spices, stachet, onycha, galbanum. These sweet spices with pure frankincense, of each shall there be a like weight. And thou shalt make it an incense, a perfume, after the art of the perfumer, tempered together, pure and holy.
Okay, so that's talking about the ingredients, and they had to be the right combination or the exact specifications, because it had to pass Yahweh's smell test. This is my testimony. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Our next speaker will be Dr. Olivia Didymus.
I'd like to say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And the price is right. Come on down. to talk about Yahshua the Messiah, unhindered, unbossed and unbought. The pure, unadulterated truth. The vessel was talking about something natural, and then explaining how that it had a spiritual counterpart. Before coming into this teaching, and we could say under the sound of this teaching, we just didn't understand these things. You know, when we listen to each other's testimony, and we've been in schools, you know, of IDM over the years, we've heard other people's testimony, and they've come from, when we say this is a sampling of the world, that's what it is. I mean, every religion just about, even made up religions, has come through and given a testimony that I didn't know nothing before coming in here. So we wouldn't have anything to say in truth had it not been that Yahweh chose at the close of an age to just repeat what he had always done. Manifest in the flesh to open the age with Adam. Then manifested in the flesh in Noah, which means comforter. Yahshua the Messiah says what? But the comforter, which is the Holy Spirit. So that's telling you who in fact was in Noah. Closed the age. Was given a vision and a revelation. Had to have a revelation because he had to build what he saw. Or understand what he saw. That calamity was getting ready to come. And that was to the saving of the souls. And it just doesn't say 8 people. It says 8 souls were saved. Crossing over from the antediluvian age, that's before the flood, to the post-diluvian. And then Yahweh himself manifested in the flesh to close that age out, the post-diluvian, or you could call that like the age of sacrifice. This one is called the age of consciousness. You can say that they got the Noahic covenant, human government, Melchizedek, Abrahamic kingdom, and priesthood. You could say this is the covenants and the law. Yahshua the Messiah came, and like we had talked about, made an end of what? End of these natural worships. Natural forms of worship, as it says over in Daniel. He's going to come in the midst of the week and call the sacrifices and oblations to what? Keep on? To cease. Brought it into the natural, physical forms of worshiping Yahweh. They that worship Yahweh must worship him on this side of the cross, in spirit and in truth. So, here we had Yahweh himself coming to close this age. Now we know that we're coming to the great close of ages. And it's funny how, you know, Yahweh said he's going to roll it up like a scroll. In the old days, we used to have them Venetian blinds, not Venetian blinds, the shade, window shade.
Yes.
And, I mean, they must have been old when I was coming up, you know, the ones that we had hanging. Because, you know, you be done, you know, as a kid, you be done rung it down to the floor, then and you know, then it gets so it won't go up no more. You know, then we had to get the pliers and get that little thing and twist it, you know, to get that spring back in order. And then you could just sometimes just go past it. It just you would go all the way up in there and just, you know, so I could look back at that and say, I have experience. He said he gonna roll it up like a scroll. It's gonna be gone. And some of us thinking that we gonna be, I gotta go there. Some of us thinking that we're gonna be hanging around in a physical body. Look, if this had been 30 years ago when most of us, however we looked, we was in our prime then. You know, that would be something to say, okay, yeah.
Right.
But look, we ain't that no more. And we got all kinds of illnesses, high blood pressure, you know, hypertension, whatever. Got diabetes. I don't, but I was listing some of the common things that we have. And it's just common. I mean, if you run across somebody that's not taking these things, and they pushing them. They pushing them. My doctor just counting down. So I said, oh no, I ain't claiming diabetes. You know, I said, you don't even want to take the test, but you want to start. See, that's how they break your body down, you know. Yeah. It's just so common. Yeah, I got a little diabetes. Ain't no such thing. You got it or you don't.
Yep.
High blood pressure, low blood pressure. Then we take all that medicine. Then that eats the lining of the stomach. Then we gotta have Prevacid and all that other stuff. And then when you have that, then that does something to the bowels, and then it's just a cascade. And then we think we want to live forever in that. And I told Dennis, I said it is. I can't even wrap my mind around it. I just sat there yesterday, empty-headed. I couldn't get my mind around it. This has been 3 days. I know out of 4 years, I have not been in pain. You can't imagine. Just the pain is just, you know, and you can't put weight down because you don't know if it's gonna be numb and go out and you be in the floor. To have use of my leg without my hip hurting. I said, but still, I don't want to drag this around for eternity. Yeah. We're going to get a new body to match the eternal spirit that is within us. That's the hope. If this is all, if that's what the scripture says, if this is all we can hope in, then we are made most miserable. We hoping, and they say, why are you hoping for something that you see? You're hoping for something that you don't see. And what we are hoping for is that spiritual body. Go over there in John where it talks about we don't know what we shall be, but we know that when he appears, we shall be like him. Beloved, maybe one of those beloved ones. 1 John 3 or 1 John?
1 John 3 and 1. Start there.
Oh, 1 John?
1 John 3 and 1. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Yahweh. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the children of Yahweh, and it does not yet appear.
Now, in our present state, we can declare that we are the children of Yahweh. Read.
Beloved, now are we the children of Yahweh, and it does not yet appear what we shall be.
Wait a minute now. I see you, Catherine. And Kathleen and Daphne?
Yes.
And I sure saw myself put some makeup on this morning. But the scripture says it does not yet appear. We're looking for something that we can't see. All we can see is flesh. And we can glamorize it and put powder on, all different shades of powder to make us glow. But that ain't the hypo glow we waiting on. We can't see that. Read.
But we know that.
But we have a confidence. Why? When the people talk about call for the witnesses, preach the witnesses.
Yes.
Because they'll show you all of the principles that we are looking for. One of the vessels was talking about life after death. And the principle is laid down in the preaching of the Gospels. That there's something better. Even if when you get Joseph, you could say, oh my goodness, Yahshua the Messiah. How are the dead raised? Folk, the stuff that we are confused on today, I'm sorry, the things that we are confused on today, it was sown a natural body, it was raised a what?
Spiritual.
He appeared to them spiritually. He never took a body back for himself as Yahshua the Messiah. He did get in vessels. That's why he could appear to Saul on the road to Emmaus and say, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? He can raise his hand and say, wait a minute, I wasn't there when they crucified my Lord. I wasn't there.
Right.
But look, he was there and was consenting unto the stoning of Stephen. Well, who was in Stephen? That was Yahshua.
Right.
But when he appeared to Peter and all of them, and came, and we went through that about the door being shut, and he appeared to them. And Thomas had done all that bad talking. I'm not going to believe unless I die. We are confused as the world if we think he went up in there as a physical body to them. He had done away with the flesh. That was, he had consumed it. Now you talking about some rolling up like the scroll. Just like back down here, there was nothing left of the lamb. We always try to see when you go through the story, it eliminates that foolishness. When they went in there, we used to talk about, this was imagining, that after Israel got out of there, and we read about it, Pharaoh and his host was overthrown in the Red Sea. You know it was chaos down there in the land of Egypt. The military is overthrown. You know, you could just put it in present day. You know, the police force is gone. We trying to, you're trying to go back like CSI and see, well, what happened? What happened? Now, let's go over here and investigate these houses in the land of Goshen. And we go over there and dig it in the ashes and say, there's some lamb left. What does scripture say? Nothing. Nothing is to remain. It's all supposed to be done away with. So when you exodus out of the flesh, ain't nothing that us supposed to be left behind. Yahshua the Messiah never did need no more physical body. People, now this is the way we used to preach it. When you are dreaming, that is a close representation of what was happening to them. It is all going on within the confines of their mind, and they are reacting to it as if it was external, but it is internal to them. Now, we talk about how you have a dream. In our dream, sometimes are we eating? And if we ain't careful, we got the pillowcase in our mouth. Here's one that many people used to raise their hands to. In your sleep, something's got after you, and you just running. And when you wake up, your feet is all tangled up in the sheet. What you been doing? Especially if you sleep with somebody, they say. And if you don't, you wake up in the morning and the sheet all pulled up off of the bed and stuff, and it's all wrapped up around your feet. What you been doing? Running. You've been reacting to something that is happening internal as if it was external. And then the one we really got our parents worked on us about, if you dream you sitting on the toilet, you better wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
It's vivid. Man, it's so real.
When you sitting there, you laying there and you dreaming that way, we are trained to and it is happening in the confines of our mind, and we are reacting to it as if it was external. And to listen to the words of Yahshua the Messiah, he said, flesh and blood, and spirit have not flesh and blood, as you see me have. And we preached it. Thomas, get it. Hold that, because I'll forget. Hold that and go over there with Thomas. Tag, I got to go this way.
Come on.
Man, in this late date.
That's all right. Okay. Now let's go to St. John 20 and 24. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahshua came.
Okay, that's the first time he came. Thomas, one of the 12, wasn't there. So they're going to tell him all of what had happened. Read.
The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen Yahshua. But he said unto them, Except I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe.
I will not believe. Now, this is how the world gets it confused. Because Thomas says, I'm not going to believe unless I A, B, and C. Run them again. Unless I do what?
He said, but he said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands.
I got to see in his hands.
The print of the nail.
The print of the nail.
And put my finger into the print of the nails.
My goodness, listen to this boy talk.
And
this is the suffering of the Messiah, and I want to stick my finger down in the hole where the nail was. Read.
And thrust my hand into his side.
Not just see if it's there, but thrust my hand into his side. What?
I will not believe.
I will not believe. Now, I've used this over the years. If you haven't, I have. And many people would raise their hand. Something going on the job. It's rumors. And everybody just get all twisted up about it. And somebody stand up like Thomas, a wide-mouthed bass, and get talking about, I ain't going to, it's going to be a layoff. I ain't going to believe it. They're going to have to come down here and tell me. I'm going to have to see. They're going to have to bring that pink slip down here to me. And the more it goes on, they get bolder with what, they get all worked up like Thomas. Finally, the day come. The supervisor come in, the manager for him, and everybody, the big boss down. You ain't never seen him before, so you know what's happening. Everybody come on the floor, and they start talking about, well, we are sorry. We've done everything that we could do, but just financially, we just can't make no further arrangements. We're gonna have to close down, and this is gonna be the phase out. Does anybody have any questions? And everybody look right at the wide mouth bass.
And he has nothing.
Well, where was all his asking about the pink slip and the got to show me and pull my time and my pension and all this old foolishness and I got hours and they owe me and they don't say nothing. Nothing. Why? Because this didn't come in the reality of it has come face to face.
Right.
And they accepted. Thomas was the same way. Read.
And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, and Thomas with them.
Now we're going to catch old Thomas. This is where the world get confused. Read.
Then came Yahshua.
Then came Yahshua.
The doors being shut.
Now, why does it keep emphasizing that?
No flesh.
Is it David Copperfield? Is he trying to show you that he's a master magician? Making the Taj Mahal disappear, or out there in what is it, Las Vegas, making the one of them hotel casinos disappear? No, it's he just simply, and I'm getting ahead of myself. The same way he disappeared from them at the Mount of Olives in the Ascension, disappearing out of their consciousness. When they are in that room with the door being shut, he comes into their consciousness, and they look up and they see Yahshua the Messiah. Read.
Then came Yahshua. The doors being shut.
He took on a physical shape and form for them. Folk is visionary. The flesh is done away with. Nailing it to his cross. Read.
And stood in the midst. And
stood over in the corner of the seat.
In the midst.
Stood right up in the midst of them.
And said, Peace be unto you. Then said he to Thomas.
Look, called him out. Called him out. Y'all ever seen that on the job? I have.
Yeah.
Called him out.
Yeah.
Read.
Reach hither thy finger.
Now that's what you just said. It's going to take you to believe. Reach hither your finger.
And behold my hand.
Behold my hand.
And reach hither thy hand.
Oh, look here now. Reach hither thy hand.
And thrust it into my side.
Look, he knew exactly what that boy had said.
Be not
Thrust it.
faithless.
Don't you be gutless. Because that's what Didymus mean when you look it up. that's what Didymus mean. You need to look it up. Oh, you see, we on camera now, but when we used to preach it. When Abraham, see, you guys gotta go. When Abraham needed to send his servant to go and find a wife for his son, he made that servant make a covenant with him.
Right.
And he touched him in his thigh.
Right.
The covenant, or a testimony. Do you get your drift?
Yes.
What is on a man down there? Some testes.
Right.
Didymus is the sack that holds the testes. Now, what do you say about a man that's a coward? He ain't got no testes. So that's what Thomas's last name is. Didymus. It's got gutless. You might as well say gutless. Yahshua called him out. He done made him so. Wide mouth bass, now he's gonna become a small mouth frog. Read.
Be not faithless.
Don't you be faithless.
But believing.
You done did all this fronting. Come on. Here it is, right here. Here's my hand. Put your finger in it. Here's my side. Thrust your hand in it. Don't you be faithless now. Read.
And Thomas answered and said unto him, Yahshua,
Oh, Yahushua,
my Eloah.
my Lord.
Yahshua said unto
Who
him,
got it in King James? I think it says, my Lord, my Savior. I mean, giving him all his praise. Read on. That's okay.
Yahshua said unto him,
Listen, here's key. Here's the key.
Thomas,
But if you don't preach it, you forget it. Read.
Thomas, because thou hast seen me.
No, because you touched me, because you put your finger in the hole in my hand, and because you thrust my side.
Because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed.
Thou hast believed. Now that's where we used to preach it.
Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
Not touched.
Seen.
It's in a vision.
Right.
And then we go over and we confuse, just like the world, that he had a physical body. Get the last chapter of John over there, where they have gone fishing and he's on the shore. And he has prepared a fish for them when they come to shore.
Okay.
Is it 21st chapter?
Yes, should be.
Last chapter, John, because this is
Start at 1.
no.
Simon Peter said to him, I go a fishing.
Yeah, you can start there.
St. John chapter 21, verse 3. Simon Peter saith unto them, I go a fishing. They say unto him, we also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. No. Okay, 9. As soon as they, John 21st chapter 9th verse. As soon as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there.
Now, so they threw fishing, and it is so much, but even down to the how many fish they caught, 153. That's your three Pentecost, 50 is 150, and the 3 days and the 3 nights. Now you go out there and ask them Doubting Thomases what that means. Read.
Yahshua said unto them, bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Yahshua said unto them, come and dine.
Now look, their fish is still in the net, but he's prepared something for them to eat, and he says, come and dine. Read.
And none of the disciples durst ask him, who art thou? Knowing that it was he. Yahshua then came and took bread and fish and gave them to eat. This is now the third time that Yahshua showed himself to his disciples.
He took fish and gave it to them and eat. And I'm drawing a blank on that because see, I know what the principle is. One, I need to go back and I'm just gonna pick it up. Cause it never made no sense. Now you know it don't make no sense. Simon Peter jumped off the boat while they was out there fishing, naked. Maybe you need to pick it up. Start back up to where they took the boat.
Okay, therefore, 6. And he said unto them, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore that disciple whom Yahshua loved saith unto Peter, it is Yahshua. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was Yahshua, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, while he was naked.
You ain't heard never heard no, unless they done drank too much beer.
And did cast himself into
Now,
the sea.
Peter's name is Simon. And his full title, what they call him, is Simon Bar Jonah. Bing, 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 bing. Where have we heard of a Jonah? Jonah and the fish. That Jonah was swallowed up and was in the belly of the fish. Peter is son of Jonah. So what does he do? He is standing there as the son of Jonah. What did Jonah say? Cast me overboard. So Simon Peter, naked, girds himself in his fisher's coat. Now I think there's a couple people in here, and I used to fish. When you fish and you really fishing, and I don't know how they do now, but I know my grandfather would be gutting and cleaning and throwing them in the ice water there, because my grandmother didn't want them scales and blood and guts and all of that. All she wanted when we got home was the fillet, dressed fish. And then after you done all of this, you take your towel and stuff, but the fish guts and little scales and everything is all on your coat. So when he picks up his fisherman's coat, isn't it just covered with fish stuff?
Yes.
So he's doing what? Just like old Jonah. He's enclosed up in the fish and cast himself overboard. The same way as old Jonah was cast overboard and then what? Just swallowed up by the fish. We want to know what the Yahshua jotted till he got this thing covered. So now, Yahshua the Messiah, that's further back up in there. Because that's that other thing about one time he asked them, they were fishing. It's there. Have you any meat?
Right.
You want to know what this teaching has done, and are we gonna teach it like Dr. Kinley, or we're gonna say, well, I'm gonna do my own way on the chart? I would, I got to think about that one, cause this teaching make the Vatican back up. All of us non-Catholics went to regular public school. There's supposed to be a difference in church and state. We in public. And on Friday we had them ugly fish squares. Now we've kind of liked it when we had the sticks. They was a little crispier than the square. We weren't Catholics, but that was the influence of the Catholic Church of eating fish on Friday. And pardon me, whoever out there this go to, but I'm sorry. That's just like I can't wrap my mind around you a vegetarian and you eat fish. Up and the fish don't grow up out the ground.
No.
Dr. Kennedy told you fish is meat, so you might as well have a steak instead of have the fish and then say you's a vegetarian. It should be nothing on your plate but what came forth, and fruits and nuts and berries that came forth from the ground. Folk, we can get so twisted up. Eat what you want to eat. If you're on a restricted diet, you're on a restricted diet. It don't matter, because Saul says all of that perishes with the flesh. That's why we're going to get hung up on it. But this teaching, Dr. Kelly pointed out, Yahshua said, children, have you any meat? They were not out there rounding up cattle out the water. They were rounding up fish. This teaching told the Vatican, fish is meat. And then they backed up on their whole doctrine that they had been doing for centuries, and you can just eat anything on Friday. Never told us why, but now all of a sudden you can just eat anything any day a week and not just restricted to fish on Friday. And we want to know, can we play with what this man delivered unto us? No. If you use the words that he used instead of using your own words, and it's insidious. He said Yahweh, knowing that man could not perceive of him in his pure spirit state, step from behind himself. Folk, if you listen to what you're saying, it don't make no kind of sense. You can't get outside of Yahweh to get behind Yahweh. He took on. How many times took on a shape and form? Took on. You can do a search. We did that years ago about that. Took on shape and form because it was a big debate. Always in shape and form. Took on shape and form. All the transcripts, all the Elohim book. Took on shape and form. Took on shape and form. Took on shape and form. And this spiritual embodiment. And I love the way the vessel said it today. It was just cornbread. It was just simple. It was just old fashioned. Get me an express image of the invisible El.
Colossians 1 and about 13. Colossians 1 and 15. Who is the image of the invisible El.
Maybe go up. Maybe go up a little bit.
Go 13.
Okay.
Who had delivered us from the power of darkness and had translated us into the kingdom of his dear son.
Already translated us into the kingdom of his dear son. Read.
In whom we have redemption through his blood.
We have redemption through his blood.
Even the forgiveness of sins. Who is the image of the invisible El.
Who is the image of the invisible El. And I like the way the vessel was putting it. It was it was from today, I guess, or later on, earlier in the week. But he was saying, why do we call this shape and form? Why does Yahweh call this shape and form the Word or Son? Now we can understand why Son, but why Word? And he likened the same example we have been using over and over and over again. But sometimes when it finally click, 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 it takes hold. Yahweh, knowing we could not understand him in his pure spirit state, wishes for us to understand that he does exist. And a word is an expression. It is how you convey information or thought. So the Word or Son is the expressed image of the invisible El, or is that which may be known of Yahweh. Manifest right within himself. Okay, now I want to go on back over and try to tie this back up. Go back to 1 John, where we were.
We could start at 4. But when the morning was now come, Yahshua stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was he. Then
No, I want to go back to 1 John.
1 John.
1 John 3 and 2. Beloved, now
but the thing with them eating, that was visionary too. Because we used to always joke about, you could sit down and eat a whole banquet in your sleep. The worst thing is going, now, you wake up, sometimes you're hungry. And that eating in your sleep is your body reacting, it wants to eat. And you start dreaming about eating. And all this sumptuous food is laid out in front of you and you are eating. And it is just as real to you as if it were happening. They got a term for that. I think I'm using the right term, lucid dreaming. But there are different states of dreaming. Some people say I don't dream. Well, the scientists will tell you when you go into that rapid eye movement, you're in your REM, that sleep where your mind is debriefing itself and your mind is entertaining itself. You might not remember it. But you go through this phase. And others dream, and it is just as vivid, and you are able to retain it when you first get up. But what happens to you after you get up a while?
It's gone.
Doesn't it? It begins to vanish like a vapor. It was so real right at that instant you woke up, and then that's the Yahshua the Messiah just vanished as a vapor from their consciousness. The same way as when you wake up, that dream just begins to just vanish and vanish. Then you be thinking, that sure was a good dream, and I was just so excited about it. Now it's 12 noon. Now by dinner time, it's really gone. You scuffed it if you didn't write it down. Yahshua rose. He goes through that whole thing. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. We ain't never preached that there going to be no kind of physical resurrection. Okay, backing over there, 1 John.
1 John 3 and 2.
Okay.
Beloved, now are we the sons of Yahweh.
We can declare that right now. We are the sons of Yahweh. Read.
And it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifies himself.
This is so funny because I remember, and see, we're not going to fall out over this because some charts, they're painted different. But I remember coming in and down here it says lake of fire. And these are the sons that are, the scripture would say, caught up to meet him in the air. These are the sons approaching the throne of Yahshua the Messiah. And then on some charts, these ages is painted head down, like they going down. No, let's think about this. You already in hell. So how much further down in hell you gonna go? See, just simple things. We want to be lifted out of this.
That's right.
We want to exhale. We want to get out of this earth plane. Caught up to meet him. So we don't know. We can't even grasp. Even though we talking about Elohim, he took on shape and form as Elohim. I remember my early days of just laying out, just looking at the clouds and just trying to imagine a great shape and form. Just earnestly praying. I want to see his face. I want to just see him roll back the cloud and just look at me, and the dean would have to get up on the floor. This is a vision. This is a vision. I'm out there looking at physical clouds, got it all twisted up, thinking that I can externally see something roll back the cloud. See, it's hard for us, even when we talk about took on a shape and form as a man. Our mind still can't get around that this is just for our understanding. Heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. That ain't even a good description. That ain't even a good description, because all of it abides within him. And so that Romans 1:19 and 20, so that we are without excuse. They say Helen Geller, but before she did, I know, and this is why I get so excited sometimes, because Mark McPherson had charts back when we were with Dr. Wakefield on Tunica, and it was 2 circles, and they represented a pictorial illustration of the galaxy, and there was a being standing there. We used to talk about that's like Elohim. Now bring it forward up to 1990 or whatever, and it's a wide, I almost called the name of it. It's this wide field, and what they did was to just take all of these pictures. And then, because I used to do that in photography back in the day, you take all of you just take your pictures, when you got them good cameras. Then when it's developed, then you take those pictures and you overlay them. So that you get one, because back then they didn't have panorama like we got. Everybody's phone now got panorama. You used to have to do it by taking separate pictures. That's what they did. The galaxy, universe of that which they know of the universe is so vast. They had to do composite pictures. And they saw a stick figure of a man. Now that's what he used to be called. Helen Keller, I hope that's her name. She called it the soap bubble man. See, this is the thing. If she had called it stick figure, she'd have had to give credit to who way back then first discovered it and first depicted it. Right. She called it the soap bubble man. It's all like, that this is the first time he ever been depicted. Mm-hmm. And they say that this being is so vast, he is light years across. Now, Darwin say, I say this by commission, not by commandment. That is just a vision. Mm. Because the galaxies make up his body. Mm. We think that these little points on him are light or stars. They are galaxies within this being. Now, if we're not a part of the body, we a rogue galaxy. Rogue galaxy out there. Yahweh just gave them a vision of a great super incorporeal being in whom we live, move, and have our being. As some of our poets have said, we can't wrap our mind around what's happening in the natural, let alone what is happening in the spiritual. So we talk about that's why we still want to go back. That's why we hung up on worshiping Dr. Kinley. What after the flesh? Now we're gonna put Yahshua the Messiah in the flesh. No, he did away with the flesh. We can't wait to be out of this flesh. Read, but we ain't got no Kool-Aid.
The love. Now are we the children of Yahweh, and it does not yet appear what we shall be.
It does not yet appear. I got a physical body. I sat there today. Usually I don't sit down, but I sat there today and made my face up real good. I exist. I saw. It appeared to me, but this says it does not yet appear. So that's something that we're hoping for. Right. Read.
But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is.
Then, why? Out of the flesh, we shall see him as he is, because we'll be at another level, another plane of existence. We use the Romans 1:19 and 20 when your parents can tell you every kind of thing. You're gonna make your bed hard. You're making things hard for yourself. This, that, and the other. You this, that, and the other. Especially when you're telling the girls and this, that, and the other. Now you go out here and you do that. Now you're gonna make your bed hard. You're gonna do that. They told us then. See, wasn't no playing back and forth. You go out there, you do that. You're not coming back here. You're gonna make your bed hard. You want to be grown. You want to be this. You want to be that. And the boys want to be grown. Want to be like daddy. Don't want nobody telling them nothing. Then after they get out, why do you think that there's such a thing going on of millennials, that those are young adults that either have never left home or coming home, coming back to the parent. Why? Because see, out there is the real world. When you got to make them bills, what the song say, work it out. You got to work it out. The light bill is due and the mortgage is too. Yes. Then you could go to your parent eye to eye and say, I understand the sacrifices. I understand about the sacrifices. I had to do that for my child. Then, see, we understood in part because we was a child. When we finally are in another phase of development, then we can behold Yahweh. Read. And that still ain't Yahweh. That's just Elohim.
And every man,
because we want to know in ages to come. It just you'll never graduate to understand Yahweh in His pure spirit state. You just gonna only thing gonna cure that one is just to dissolve and take it back. Read, and they got and see, I watch all them sci-fi stuff. They had this guy Odo, and he didn't know where he came from. But he was he was Aya Asher Aya. You know, he could be anything. I mean, he could be the mouse running on the floor. He was a liquid in a bucket of water. He could be the door over the real door, spying because he was over security. And then when he found out that there was a whole race of them, and they just it's just liquid. And then you just see one just rise up out of there and take on shape and form. And all the rest of them are just out there waiting to be called forth. That's the only way you're going to understand Yahweh and pure spirit is when he dissolves you back and ain't no more you. In no kind of shape and form and no kind of manifestation. You're going to be the all in all, and that's all. That ought to give us something to look forward to. And I'm not trying to throw off or nothing, but if look, think about this. If they sent a book of Dr. Kinley to Wittenberg, why Wittenberg? Folk, see, when we don't go over this stuff, that's how this isms start coming in. It went to Wittenberg University in Ohio. Why? Because didn't Martin Luther go up against the Catholic Church and nail his theses to Wittenberg in Germany? And that was the start of the Lutheran pulling out from the Catholic Church by pointing out the things that they were doing. Dr. Kinley had to have his transcript sent to Wittenberg. And what? That man returned the money and the book and what? Wanted to see the man that wrote that. He said he would have to write paragraphs just to break down one word that he put in that treaty. So folk, he done condensed it into a desirable shape and form for us. That man was over the dean. He's the dean of a school. Like it ain't like us deans, of a school, of a college in a university. Like we used to have a dean of music. All of the music teachers reported to the dean of the history department. Where they took this to this guy, and he had to do what? Doff his hat and say that I can't do, and gave the money back. I can't do nothing with it. He used the words that he said. We'll be so much better off. We did on one of the programs about a pre-flight checklist. A pre-flight checklist. All I could do is testify. I got a good friend of mine. Had a good friend. And he was a chief warrant officer for the Army. And he had been flying since he had been training since junior high school. He had been flying through high school. When he reached of age, he had his license. Now this is during the time of the Vietnam War and the draft. And the U.S. had the USA something. Those were the mercenaries that we had sent to Vietnam. When we finally declared war and sent the military in, he had already been over there as a mercenary flying. And then went back in the Army. That's how long this boy been training. So he gets out, he got his own airplane and a helicopter. I said, take me up. He said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. First thing I do, I just let me get behind the controls. No, we just can't, And there was just so many instances where he got some sort of award. He said when he brought the helicopter down, they say wasn't no way that they should have ever been able to walk away from that thing. He brought it down, and like they was bailing on it. They was bailing at that last while he was holding it. They was bailing out of there. And he was the last, him and the other guy was the last one. And he was stepped on by the guy getting over him as he was crunching down. This guy could fly. But he said, no, you got to do it by the book, Olivia. I said, you of all people should be able to, like we see them old movies, fly by the seat of your pants. He said, no, we got to do the checklist. Fuel, flaps, and the gauges, and the this and the that. And we want to know why we run off the runway. Because we don't do a pre-flight checklist. Okay, Luke 24:25, he tell you, okay now, okay. You get ready to back, getting ready to back that airplane back up. Back it back up and do what? At beginning that Moses, you're backing it back up, turn it around, You're on the taxiway, and beginning at Moses and all the prophets. When you go back there and you start talking about Exodus, you start talking about Pharaoh, you get them up you get them through the killing of the lamb. By now you rolling, and they just sitting there. You see them gearing up. This is the TWA coming across there. And when they throttle back and let that thing go, that's just how Yahweh pick you up. Yes. Just get on the runway, preach this gospel, and he'll just take you off. And then he'll drop you on back down, right? Just like a good landing, bloop, bloop. And then if there's time, then you just go on back to the old landmark. He pick you up again. Now look, they do have a boarded flight. Now you go out there, run. Oh, we got a red light. What happens? They don't be doing like in the movie, flick.
They stopped that thing.
Because we was on a flight like that. We was out there rumbling, sitting there 5 minutes. How many airplanes is coming? 10 minutes. How many airplanes is still coming? And he throttling, and then you can just feel him taking it on back down and turning that thing. The stewardesses, they go up there knocking on this before 9/11, knocking on the door. What's happening? The people want to know what's happening.
Right.
And say, we got a red light. We got to go back to the terminal. We calling for a mechanic. All it was something that they had opened up, and they knew what it was. The guy told them that's what it was. Go on. No, but the checklist said, right. I got to bring it on back. See, that's an aborted flight. And what do? Sometimes if it's real bad, they say you got to get off, got to bring another plane. Otherwise, that's when we pass the baton. Another plane take off. Those words, I thank you. Hallelujah.
Our next speaker will be Dr. Daphne Thomas.
Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
I am really happy to be in class today. I enjoyed the remarks of the previous vessel talking about how, we were brought into this teaching and how we were taught to teach. We had to be taught to teach. And the thing that, we always acknowledge that we wouldn't have anything to say in truth or reality about our Creator had we not been given the divine invitation to come down and sit up under this teaching. And you pay honor to the teaching and to the teacher, which is Yahshua the Messiah. And teachers of teachers, their greatest glory is when they can say one of their pupils, right, got up and ran through what they were taught, and it enlightened another person. That's it. That's the ultimate when you are a teacher of teachers. And so Yahweh had to come down here, just put on a suit of clothes, got in the body of Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley. We were getting ready to do this exhibit about Lemoyne One College for the Pink Palace. And they wanted us to go to all of these alumni, many of them very elderly, and get the artifacts to tell the story of the college. They said the best way to tell a story is through the artifacts. And we were in several meetings, and the curator kept saying, like, if y'all could get the suit that Dr. Harrington was wearing when he was first sworn in as that first African-American elected mayor, he said, now that tells the story, the suit of clothes. But is that the reality? Do you see what I'm saying? He's trying to convey a historical event by showing you an artifact. But are we paying tribute to the suit or the man and the accomplishment and the story? Do you see the difference? So when you come down here and say Dr. Kinley is my savior, you are going to the museum and you are paying obedience to the suit of clothes. Not the story and not the accomplishment, not the reality of the matter. That's all the previous vessel just labored to do one thing, to preach metaphysically. In other words, to get you beyond the flesh. Because that is our natural set point. Is it not? It's everything we know.
Right.
So it's out, as folks say, my comfort zone. My comfort zone is the flesh. The spirit is not our natural state of existence. It's not comfortable. So we have to be brought down here and just, as they used to teach, see here, and over again to try to get you beyond the flesh. Okay? So these exhibits and charts are not the vision. We're telling the story about the reality of the thing. So when she patiently went through the story of Thomas, Doubting Thomas is what he's known as. Why is he called Doubting Thomas? Because he needs physical evidence. He needs to feel. He needs the flesh in order to believe. He's a doubter. Okay? So Yahshua just appeared to them, and she labored to help us understand. It became so much more real. Like, you know what? Why is it in there that the door was shut? So these are things that we used to go over to get you beyond the flesh. We're the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. We're down here talking about spiritual things, yet we are confined to physical bodies. But that is the miracle. It's for us to see the spiritual matter. So, and we just talk and we preach and we don't stop sometimes and say, oh, and he was not in the flesh when he did this.
Right.
We have to say that sometimes because our natural state is automatically put Yahshua in a fleshly body when he's resurrected. When he walked on the road to Emmaus and appeared to them and they didn't even know who he was.
Right.
They didn't recognize him because he was a spirit man. How many encounters have they had with a spirit man prior to that? They know what they were looking at. And our natural inclination is to think they're physically walking and a third party physically engages them. I'm the first to admit that. That's the first place my mind went. He physically walked up, how y'all doing? No. We have to that has to be made real to us and emphasized that he entreated them in a vision, spiritually. That, to me, it makes the book read a whole different way. I've been coming down here over 20 years. And y'all should just get on the floor and say, I was not in a physical body. And I said, oh, right. How are the dead raised? And it asked, and with what body do they come? Now that's the question. Because we all there, so that lets you know there are at least two kinds of bodies. And with what body? Is that in Hebrews or?
1 Corinthians 15.
Yeah, yes. Let's read that. How are the dead raised?
1 Corinthians 15 and about 30, 35. 15:35. But some man will say.
Some man will say, and that's what we're down here all the time contending about. Because, some man or woman said. So he's going to straighten this out. Some man will say, read.
How are the dead raised up?
How he's asking a question. How are the dead raised up? Why is that even a question of contention? Yahweh knew, he purposed it. Even down in this age, we were going to be contending about that very thing. It's nothing new. How are the dead raised up? Read.
And with what body do they come?
It's a two-part question. And with what body do they come? Over there, in there it says, it's like prayer when it comes to me. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it's in there. There are bodies terrestrial, and there are bodies what? Terrestrial. There are bodies terrestrial, and there are bodies what? Celestial. So he's telling you, you got earthly bodies or physical bodies, you've got heavenly or spiritual body. So the question is, which body are you raised in? When you are raised up and you have gone through that death, how are the dead raised up? previous vessel talked about how that dean at Wittenberg University read Dr. Kinley's treatise and understood, in a sense, the depth of it, how it was just too much. He said just a word. I had to come down here and to learn how to look up words and to learn how they have so many meanings. And one of them that just blew my mind, we would look up the word how, because it said how are the dead raised. And I had to read in the American Heritage Dictionary, you know, in what manner or way. Then by what? I think it's by what power.
For what purpose?
For what purpose? But the one that it ended with, because that's getting to the crux where the buck is going to stop. By what name? If I'd never set foot in the school, I think I could honestly say I probably would have gone through my whole life and never, ever, ever associated by what name to the word how. So how, in what manner, by what, for what purpose, by what authority, and in what name are the dead raised? And, because there's more to that, with what body do they come? Read.
Thou fool. That which thou sowest is not quickened except it die.
Read on. What is that talking about? Now, okay, that's a correlation. That's a Romans 1:19 and 20, because they know you're dealing with a finite mind. So back then, before there was a Kroger, folk had to pretty much grow their food. Most people grew their food. So that was common knowledge. Thou food. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about a seed. That's as simple as it gets, because most of y'all are farmers if you're not fishermen, right? So, read.
And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or of some other grain.
There ain't no chance involved. First of all, you can't bury thou food unless it dies. How many of y'all are eating watermelon? You spit the seed, and then you go and throw it in the ground because you want some more watermelons to come up. What do those seeds do? They rot. Because they have not gone through, they haven't been dried out. All that moisture has come out of there, and it has to be in a death-like state before you bury it, right? And when it is raised up from the dead, with what body does it come? Does a big old brown watermelon seed come peeping up through the earth? No. That's what he's trying to teach you. Don't look for what was sown, because it is going to go under a change or a transformation. Or as the previous vessel said, it's going to take on another shape and form. Okay? So that which was sown is not that which shall be. Read on.
But Elohim giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body.
Every seed his own body. We are seeds. Seed is synonymous with what? Son. Is that not right? Then he's out of Egypt have I called my son. And he called all these Israelis down here, these Hebrews down here, the seed of who? Abraham. Okay, so seed and son are synonymous. So which son is going to resurrect? And with what body is it going to come? Read.
All flesh is not the same flesh.
Previous vessel had told you that Dr. Kelly had to, teach the Vatican about flesh. Fish is meat. Okay, read.
All flesh is not the same flesh.
No.
But there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds.
Fishes are flesh too. Okay. Now, let's go to, in other words, he's teaching you about the different fleshes, but he's going to flip it into the spiritual, because the question is, and with what body do they come? Any more there, Doc?
There are also celestial bodies.
Oh, so now he was talking about the earthly fleshes, okay? Now there are also celestial bodies.
And bodies terrestrial.
That's terrestrial. Terrest means earth. Have you ever heard of a terrarium? So extraterrestrial, E.T., he was beyond the earth. So terrestrial means earthy. So there are earthly bodies and there are celestial or heavenly bodies. Read.
But the glory of the celestial is one. And the glory of the terrestrial is another.
They different. They are different.
One glory of the sun.
Ooh, here we go. He's giving you correlations now. Romans 1:19 and 20. So there's one glory of the sun, that's the S-U-N, the one that's shining today. Read.
And another glory of the moon.
Is the glory of the moon as bright as the glory of the sun? No. The glory of the sun is so much more intense that it blocks out the moon. And all the other celestial bodies that are in the heavens with them. So it has the highest glory. Read.
And another glory of the stars.
Oh, the stars' glory just pales in comparison to the glory of the sun. Read. That's why we can't see them right now, but they're there.
For one star different from another star in glory.
Some stars you will see even into the morning.
So also is the resurrection of the dead.
Oh, now he's flipping it. He's explaining the physical. He said, now, and so are the resurrection of the dead. Read.
So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption.
Oh, now he's getting to it now, because see, that what was the question? How are the dead raised up, and with what body do they come? Read.
It is raised in incorruption.
Now he's telling you it's sown in corruption. What does that mean?
Flesh.
That's the flesh, and the flesh is finite. Remember the previous vessel labored with us. How about we don't want to drag these fleshly bodies into a spiritual age? They're hurting. We got aches and pains, and they are corruptible. In other words, they are in a constant state of decay.
Hallelujah.
See, it's hard for young folks to gather that. Because, when they're babies, they're coming up. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
But they're going to reach it because it's an arc. They're going to hit that zenith by man about 21. You was fine. And then, that's what they call it, over the hill. Coming down the backside. Okay, so you are in a constant state of decay. You are corruptible. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But he said that's not how the dead are raised. And that's not the body that they're going to come with. Because this body that you're going to come with is going to be incorruptible. Incorruptible means it cannot be corrupted. In other words, it is not in that constant state of what? Decay. It is eternal. Now if you come in with an eternal body, that's a celestial, heavenly, or a spiritual body. How are the dead raised? And with what body do they come? He's telling you right there. And then Yahweh knew this was going to be a contention. So he put it in the book.
Right.
Read.
It is sown in dishonor.
Oh, so he's going to give you another example. Dishonor. Read.
It is raised in glory.
Raised in glory. Isn't that what we want to be clothed upon?
Right.
And now what we call it, our robes of beauty and glory. That's not these clothes we carefully pressed this morning.
I know that's right.
Our robes of beauty and glory, we will be clothed. And what we say? And the woman is clothed what? In the sun. That's your robe of beauty and glory. That is the incorruptible. Read on.
It is sown in dishonor.
Here we go.
It is raised in glory.
Right.
It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power.
Sown in weakness. We are in a constant state of decay in these husks, in these suits. Remember the suit that the museum wanted? It's in a state of decay too, because it probably won't. It probably doesn't even exist anymore. You know, if he didn't have the presence of mind to preserve it, because it's in a state of decay. Okay, so you gonna worship something that's and then even the book it said nothing waxeth old like what? A garment. This is
A garment.
a garment, and it waxes old.
Oh,
My goodness.
decay.
Yeah, keep washing them. Have y'all noticed that? Old washing machines used to have a lint catcher. Did y'all know they used to filter the lint? That's your clothes. Getting thinner and thinner.
Right.
Get that dry. All that lint you pull out of there, those are your garments. Waxing old.
Way.
See? They're in decay. Those are the kind of garments that we're going to be clothed upon with. So this shouldn't even be no contention. How are the dead raised and with what body do they come? So he put on an incorruptible body, a body, and it said he was raised in what? Power. But the book says that body is sown in weakness, and it is what?
Raised in power.
Isn't that what they said about the Messiah? So what body did he come with? He came with the body that was raised in power. Then it was not this corruptible flesh. It could not have been. Is there any more there?
It is sown a natural body.
Oh, he's just getting it all the way down. This teacher here. Okay? And now he said, okay, it is sown a natural body. We all know what natural means. Read.
It is raised a spiritual body.
There it is. Now it doesn't get any plainer. Now he had to bring you up to that point so you can understand the difference between the natural and the spiritual. So he gave you the opposites. Weakness, power. Corruptible, incorruptible. So now it's sown a natural body. That's this right here. He's all this is about Yahshua, right?
Right.
So he's telling you Yahshua was sown a natural body and he was raised
Spiritual body.
a spiritual body. Is there any more of that?
There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body.
Okay, so now with what body do they come? The natural body or the spiritual body? Okay, so did he not answer that question? And he labored with that thing. So, okay, I'm going to get you coming and going. I'm giving you several examples. You know what a good teacher does? They don't just get up there and say 1 + 1 is 2 all day and sit down. You get blocks. 1 block plus another block. 2 blocks. 1 apple plus another. You see the pictures. 2 apples.
Right.
That's all he's doing. He's teaching. Is there any more there?
And so it is written.
And so it is written. Now he's quoting scripture. Read.
The first man, Adam, was made a living soul.
Previous vessel said. Luke gave you your roadmap. And in beginning at Moses. Where does Adam appear? In Genesis, which is a book written by what? Moses. He's doing the same thing. He's teaching. So he said, okay, I got all that done now. I'm going to go back to Moses as it is written. Read.
As it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul.
Living soul. Read.
The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
A quickening spirit. Previous vessel told you about how the transitions between the ante, which means before the flood, and the post, said 8 souls were saved. Those were physical bodies on a boat. Were saved. They came over from one age to the next. So he's saying he was made a living soul, but read on.
Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual.
Okay, so he's telling you now, he's getting up in there now. You know, the previous vessel told you how there's a jet. I love takeoff. That's my favorite part of flying. Because he came back himself up. You know, they don't have a reverse in a plane. It's something pushing that thing back. And it turns it around and sets it straight. And then you hear them jets hitting that gear. And then you start rolling. You don't just... You can feel every crack in the tarmac, can't you? Boom, 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 boom. And when he gets the signal from the control tower, that gives you clear for what? Takeoff. He pops that thing in another gear and it puts you back in your seat, doesn't it? Woo! And then you start feeling that acceleration.
Right.
You don't feel all them bumps anymore. You're going so fast. You see what I'm saying? And then yeah, but when he gets that clearance from the tower, and he hits that thing, that thrust, you're still on the ground, but you're moving.
That's right.
Then all of a sudden you feel what?
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Because that's a miracle. You're overcoming gravity, which is a force of nature that is irrefutable. Is that right? Do you know the power it takes to do that? So it's the same thing here. Yahweh gets us up here and we come on. And that's what he did. Weakness and power. Corruptible, incorruptible.
Right.
Terrestrial, celestial, natural, spiritual. That's it.
That's it.
With what body? Do they come? He answers it. He in there now.
Right.
Because now he's taking you back to Moses.
Right.
And he's talking about the first Adam and the second Adam. He is in the air and it, now you're looking down and you see the
Cloud.
Ooh, no, you're not in the clouds yet.
Okay, you see the little folks on the
You see
ground.
little folks on the ground. Yeah, you see little houses. They don't look real, do they?
No.
Right.
So I'm saying you're in a totally different view. You can go back to Moses. Now he's talking about the first Adam. Now he's talking about the second Adam. So now you kind of up there. Now you're like, well, wait a minute now. Well, who's the second Adam? Yahshua the Messiah, because he's taking you up. He's built up some speed and acceleration. Now y'all got some lift, and you finna deal with some heavenly things.
Clouds.
Yo, yeah. Now Dean already been up in the cloud, because you scratch your head. What we talking about is a man, and he's galaxies across. You in outer space, but you're talking about something spiritual. Okay, so now he's gotten up some momentum. He's talking about the first Adam was what? A natural man. But the second Adam, read on.
The first man is of the earth earthy.
He's of the earth earthy. It's the principle we're dealing with. First Adam, earth earthy. Remember, he was formed from the what? Dust of the ground.
Right.
Elohim got in him to breathe in the breath of life. But he still got that suit of clothes on. He's a fleshly man. Read.
The second is
The second Adam is Yahshua
from
the
heaven.
Oh, did he tell you? He didn't leave it to chance. You didn't guess. He said the first Adam was a fleshly man, but the second Adam, after all that, he is Yahshua, and he is from heaven. First Adam, dust of the ground. This one, was he formed from the dust of the ground? He has no physical parents. Isn't that what they said?
Right.
He was placed in Mary, because Mary was a virgin.
Right.
So there was no DNA substance coming together to stitch up Yahshua. He was not formed
That's right.
like that. He was placed in her, because he is what? From heaven. Read.
As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy, and as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly.
Why do you think the so-called Lord's Prayer says that? To teach us to pray.
As it is.
On earth as it is in heaven. I was an athlete. Before every game, last thing we do before we hit that court, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom is coming.
Come.
We were just saying words, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy will be done. On earth
As it is.
because as it is means as the reality, as it is in heaven. So how are the dead raised? And with what body do they come? If the reality is celestial, and he has gone from this state of existence, he has gone into the reality He is spiritual. Read.
And as we have borne the image of the earthy.
Oh, we're born over there in Hebrews, because we were looking that up, 1 and 3. Talks about that express image. That's what the dean called for. So now read on to that and then get Hebrews 1 and 3. Read.
And as we have borne the image of the earthy.
We have borne the image of the earthy. We were formed in this physical body. Spirit placed in there. Read.
We shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
Now, he's telling you, that is your final state. And just as you've born the flesh, you're going to take it off, and you're going to be clothed upon in the spirit. Is there any more there?
And to make sure.
That's all right.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahweh, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption.
Now he's wrapped that thing up. There is no ambiguity there. In other words, how are the dead raised? They are raised by the power that is in the name of Yahshua the Messiah. And when that happens, and with what body do they come? He's telling you. Read that again.
Now this I say,
now you know when somebody gets in your face. Now, that's with emphasis. He wants you to hear this and remember. Now hear me now. Now this I say,
brethren,
that
flesh and blood
cannot
inherit the kingdom of Yahweh.
He's being emphatic. Obviously they were wrestling with this too.
Right.
Because he's not, come on, now this I say, brethren, flesh and blood cannot
inherit the kingdom of Yahweh.
Now these kingdoms, isn't what this is set up? This age is a dispensation chart. Fourth age, present kingdom age. The next age is the fifth age or the kingdom age. So he's talking about kingdoms. This stuff is not haphazard. Read.
Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption.
This is corruptible. This is corruption itself. It is not made nor fit for the journey into the spirit. Read.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Now I'm going to tell you about our natural state. You know, we've all done this, and you've seen somebody do. You know, growing up, you get them plastic red Solo cups, and you got a party, you got a barbecue, and you're using them. Now on the package it says discard after use. What do black folk do? They in the sink, and we're washing them out, putting them in the cabinet, and we're gonna use them again. But they were made for a single use and to be what? Discarded. No, but we want to keep them, and then you put it in the dishwasher and you find out. They are corruptible. But that's us. That's what we do. So that's what he's saying. He's telling us what our final state is going to be. This was designed to wither and to be discarded. It was designed for a temporary purpose. It's a temporary abode for the soul.
Hallelujah.
It's not meant to be washed with hot soap and water, dried and placed in the cabinet for future use. Okay? But that's what we want to do. That's our natural inclination, is to get that Solo cup. This still look pretty good. Ain't no holes in it.
Ain't no lipstick on it.
It's clean. Then what we want to say about this body, they're clean. I believe in Yahshua. We're going to go just like this. You the Solo cup. And you are not built for that. This is not built for that. Read. I can back up and read that passage again.
In a moment,
Go back up some more.
behold,
There we go.
I show you a mystery.
Oh, now we're talking about mysteries. Isn't that what the contention is? Read.
We shall not all sleep.
Now that's something there. Okay. Now we're not all gonna die
That's right.
a natural death,
Right.
but we will all
Be changed.
be changed.
That's right.
Ooh. And then we talking about dragging bodies over into a spiritual age. See how we get twisted up
Yeah.
when we don't read the words in black and white. He's very, very, very explicit there. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all what?
Be changed.
Be changed. So you will not be this.
Hallelujah.
Change means it's different. Okay.
Not according.
Not according.
In a moment,
In a moment, it's
in the twinkling of an eye,
twinkling of an eye.
at the last trump.
Oh, now he's telling you how and when. At the last trump. Read.
For the trumpet shall sound,
Oh my goodness.
and the dead shall be raised incorruptible,
Those are the ones who went that way, went to the grave.
and we shall be changed.
Now wait a minute. He said the dead shall be raised incorruptible. So with what body? They come from.
Right.
If they're incorruptible, remember now he said this is corruptible. So if they're raised incorruptible, they cannot have on the flesh. They're raised incorruptible. Read.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption,
Oh my goodness.
and this mortal
In case you didn't get it,
must.
this mortal, because corruptible means that we're in a constant state of
Right.
decay or decline, headed to the grave. So this corruptible must put on incorruptible. Read.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption,
Incorruption. Read
and
itself.
this mortal
Okay, in case you didn't get it, mortal means
Must.
something that can die. Put on what?
immortality.
Oh.
So, when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption,
So when this happens, because
And-
it will happen, read,
and this mortal
and this fleshly, dying body, read,
shall have put on immortality.
oh, it is done away with, and now you are robed in the garment that is immortal, which is spiritual. Read.
Then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death
Death
is swallowed up in victory.
is swallowed up in victory. Don't you know the flesh can't win? Every day it shows you that, because you always got to do something to it, don't you?
Be better.
Brush my teeth.
Everything we do is for this. You go to work for this. Why? Well, they say he hung a belly on it, didn't he? It's got to eat. It's in a constant state of decay. So if you don't wash it, it's going to stink. Come on now.
Yeah. That's a fact.
That's a fact. And then when you get older, you got to go get help to maintain it. You got to go to the doctor. And then sometimes the PCP ain't enough when you get old enough and it starts decaying enough. Then you got to go to the specialist. See, it's corruptible.
Right.
It is corruptible that cannot inherit the kingdom of Yahshua. Flesh and blood cannot.
Right.
Why would you even drag something that needs all this attention?
Right.
When all you're going to be doing when you get into the presence of Yahweh is say what? Holy, holy, holy. You can't say, and I'll be right back. I got to go
Clean
and
up.
clean this up.
I gotta
Because
go
it's smelling unholy.
I don't think so.
I got to go to work so I can buy some food to put in the belly that was hung on it. I'll be right back, and I'm going to come on back and get right in the chorus and say, no, that's not what he said. You can't even properly glorify him
In a state of
in this state.
Right.
You must put on incorruptible. We come up in here in our bed clothes. No, we don't. You did that, Olivia. We'd have class. But she slide up to you. After class, you all right? Same thing. You going to the big spiritual dance, you're going to have on the right clothes. You're going to be in the spirit body that's been glorified. So I hope something was said to edify the body, and all praise and glory to Yahshua the Messiah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. This concludes our class lecture for today. Let us stand for our doxology. Our doxology is taken from Jude, verse 24-25. Now unto him that's able to keep you from falling and present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all say, Hallelujah.
Right on, King Yahshua. No man cannot hinder me. Right on, King Yahshua. Right on, no man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. Right on, King Yahshua. No man cannot hinder me. Right on, King Yahshua. Right on, no man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. No man.